Hello and welcome back to this week's program. Super happy to have you with us. Today we're going to talk about routines, and today we're going to talk about how you should structure your learning around a busy schedule, because most of the time when you watch YouTube videos or when you watch certain gurus talk about what they read and how they read in any given day, you're sitting there wondering to yourself, of course he's doing that. Of course she's doing that. Of course they're doing that because they have all the time in the world. Where we don't realize that people got lives to live, man. Not everyone can do like a 6-hour reading stretch over the weekend. Not everyone can write 2,000 words first thing in the morning. Some of these things, they're designed to make you feel bad, and they're kind of designed to be unrealistic because whatever we want to capture with the camera, they kind of have to be impressive to get clicks and views. But what I'm trying to do today is just to be radically honest and to show you guys, hey, this is what I do on any given day. You can do it too. But more importantly, I want to show you guys the thinking behind how I designed my daily learning routine so that it becomes automated. Because the beautiful thing about building a routine is that at some point you stop thinking about it. It just becomes like an operating system in your life. So here's what I do on any given day to fulfill my learning goals. And those goals are, number one, I really want to brush up on my French, because ever since graduating with my degree with a French major, I have lost a lot of that language. Sure, I've traveled to France a few times in the past couple of years. I've learned to speak the language. Welcome to this episode of Discovering Marseille. I'm your host, Robin Bourdin. Je comprends rien.
Non, je comprends pas.
Excusez-moi.
Il faut vivre un peu.
Excusez-moi, vous parlez anglais?
C'est claro que sí.
But without that practice and without consistently reviewing grammar and without consistently practicing French reading and French speaking, it's slowly starting to degrade. And this is the funny thing with languages. I need a daily practice to fortify my French understanding. And at the same time, you know what else has been degrading over time? My bread and butter, reading literature. Ever since I started making videos full-time on this channel after finishing university, I wouldn't say I've never read a novel, but the commitment to reading novels or reading fiction definitely pales in comparison compared to when I was in university, when I had that schedule or routine to read maybe 4 novels over the course of a semester. But now, most of my attention and energy got siphoned into researching reading techniques or into researching something useful that I can tell you guys about. So yeah, I'd like to read more works of literature, not just philosophy, not just literary theory, not just stuff that I can talk about on this channel, but actually just reading to appreciate the prose. And the third thing, which is really important for me personally, recently I've committed to writing 1 newsletter every single week. And this newsletter before used to be 500 to 600 words long, but I thought to myself, if I really want to push myself, I should aim for 1,500 words to maybe 2,000 words each article, because that is a surefire way for me to really flesh out an idea, to really tell a story worth reading. So over the past few weeks, I have been learning how to do code injection for HTML. And that's because I'm moving my Substack newsletter to my independent platform. And if you're watching this right now, don't subscribe yet. The website is not ready. This is what it's going to look like eventually. You can sign up here, and we have an assortment of interesting articles for you guys every single week. By the way, I'll keep you guys posted on this newsletter. It's a very big project, and I spent the last couple of weeks coding a new website or trying to get my head around HTML so I can do code injections. With that writing schedule in mind, where I have to publish 2,000 words every single week, I need a way to write consistently, because that's not the only writing project that I'm working on. The other thing is I have an 80,000 word manuscript due in December. So during my normal workday, that's the bulk of my workday, right? I typically spend 3 to 4 hours researching and writing that 80,000 word manuscript. So I have very little time to write this newsletter. So now the picture's getting a little clearer. 3 things: French learning and reading more literature and trying to write consistently every single day. So how the hell did I manage to fit all of that into an otherwise already chaotic enough schedule where I have to publish YouTube videos every single week and I have this book to work on? The key here that's gonna get you through these crazy learning goals is to underperform. You've heard me right. Underperform. There's this really unhealthy obsession that we have with the highs that comes with working a lot every single day. And there's this high that we get from watching these people go into the gym for 2 hours a day, 7 days a week, or this crazy person who's doing like this 3-hour reading stretch every single day. But the question is, those are usually one-offs. After the reel is done, they probably wouldn't do that for the rest of the week or for the rest of the month for that matter. And after they've performed one of these 3-hour-long reading stretches, it's typically not that sustainable. And of course, it leaves us feeling really bad because we don't have that kind of time or the energy to do those ridiculous things. That means we don't get the high from performing like a maniac. But if you can find a way to deliberately underperform on a daily basis, that's going to ensure that in the long term, you're actually going to do a lot more. This is a very simple concept, but somehow it's really difficult to put into practice because we're all chasing that high. We all want the high from like, I've done that today. But we really miss out on the subtle joys of doing something deliberately with patience so that over the long term it really snowballs into something beautiful. Let's anchor that into some practical examples. And here is my morning routine. This is what I do every morning to secure my daily reading and learning. I would wake up every morning and first things first, coffee. I recently got this beautiful blend roasted on Lygon Street here in Melbourne, and this kind of feels like discovering a new continent or something. Well, it's just really good coffee. For all you baristas in the audience, don't judge me for my coffee making skills. I'm still trying to figure out how this machine works. Look at this beautiful... Oh my god, look at this beautiful espresso. But anyways, with my coffee in hand, the first thing I do is to get to a very short writing session. And for me, my daily word count goal is simply 500 words for my newsletter alone. That is a very manageable goal, and for me, I can do that every single day for 7 days a week. I used to aim for like 1,000 words every day, but over time, I just really burnt myself out over that ridiculous goal of writing 1,000 words every single day. But now 500 words is such a happy medium, and even during the days when I don't feel like doing it, I'll still try to get to the 500 word mark. And what typically happens is that the very next day when I look over that writing, it's actually not as bad as I thought, or I can simply fix it, I can re-edit it. So that's the first part of my routine. It takes about 30 to 40 minutes. It doesn't take that long, and it ensures that by the end of the week, I would have written somewhere between 3,000 to 3,500 words. And that's basically the weekly long-form newsletter writing itself. And after writing my 500 words, I'll just kind of do some stretches and old man activities. And I would move on to the second part of my routine, which takes about 10 to 15 minutes. I figured out a way to combine French learning and novel reading. So I thought to myself, there's this novel that I bought from Paris that I've always wanted to read. I made a terrible financial decision. And yes, there's a whole story behind this book. Last time when I was in Paris, I really wanted to get this book, which is the complete works of Jean Genet. But I ended up, for some stupid reason, picking up Hemingway's A Movable Feast in French. It is the novel Notre Dame de Fleurs by Jean Genet. I got this novel, last year in June or July, but I never found a time or effort to really read it because even in English, Genet is really difficult to read. And when I asked certain French people, what do you think of Jean Genet? They also found it impossible to read. So I thought to myself, wouldn't it be fun for me to read the original alongside the English edition? Originally, the goal was to read one page in the original French and to translate every single word that I didn't know or grammatical structure that I didn't know. But now I've reduced that to one paragraph a day. And yes, I'm probably a dumbass for starting with Genet. Probably should have started with something like Camus. But Genet is someone who I've always wanted to read. So this routine of reading one paragraph, translating the paragraph, and picking out all the words that I don't know in a notebook, it takes me about 10 to 15 minutes, but it's definitely a lot more sustainable compared to I'm going to read a chapter in the original French, something ridiculous like that. And above all, for me, it's just really fun to do. I can't wait to get started on my paragraph tomorrow because I'm about to learn more grammatical structures. I'm about to learn more vocabulary. I'm about to brush up on a language that I really enjoyed learning. I swear normally my handwriting's better than this. And maybe in a few weeks, I would have finished a chapter in the original French. That's not a small achievement, especially when you're reading Genet. And alongside my writing practice, the whole thing takes about under an hour, so I can kind of finish that off and just start filming a video for you guys like today, or I can get started with writing my manuscript. So see, this is what I really want to drill into your head. These things don't need to be complicated. They just need to work for you. Make your systems work for you. But the problem is that we started fetishizing routines. We started viewing routines not as means to an end, but kind of like ending themselves. So we started to build these elaborate routines that we can't even follow. You know, aesthetically, they look great. It might give you a high when you do this impossible routine for a few weeks, but over time, you're going to fall off the wagon. If you don't have something sustainable, you're definitely going to fall off the wagon. Whereas building something so small, but so consistent, from the outset, it looks kind of boring. You can't really show it off on a YouTube video. It's not that impressive. Your SEO is not going to be that great. But man, it really gives you that sense of steady progress. And you wouldn't be running around stressing out about, oh, I haven't done this routine today, I haven't done that routine today. It should simply merge into the operating system of your life. It should simply be like a little cog in a machine so that every day you know you're making a little bit of progress. And here's a question that I want you to think about, and I'm going to use this question to end this video. Are you obsessed with the high of performing a routine? Or are you actually interested in building something that's sustainable? Are you occupied with looking impressive? Or are you trying to build something that really works for you? Leave me your comments down below, and I'll see you next week with more. Waldun here. Take care, and goodbye.